Hi humans! Levitation has always been mesmerizing. It looks like magic. But it's actually pure physics. Today I got my hands on an ultrasonic levitation kit. What a surprise to see an instruction. Let's see how well it can levitate small objects. Firstly, I decided to familiarize myself with all the components to make assembly easier. I'll grab my soldering iron and get started with the main PCB. Since these components are tiny, I'll need tweezers, as fingers are too big. I decided to start with the smallest components first, beginning with resistors, then moving on to non-polarized capacitors. Even though this kit doesn't have many components, a major part of them are SMD, surface mount devices, so need to be sober, focused, and extra careful while soldering. A fine soldering iron tip would be ideal, but I'll work with what I have. This is also a great test of my soldering skills. Frankly, this is only my second time working with SMD components, so let's see how it goes. And today, first time ever, I tried to use the simplest manual desoldering pump. For SMD components, this pump is a really useful tool. A little bit of theory, how does this kit work? This kit uses ultrasonic standing waves, high-frequency sound waves that create areas of high and low pressure. When an object is placed in one of these pressure zones, it gets trapped and held in place by the force of the sound waves. This phenomenon is called acoustic levitation, and it works even against gravity. Now, moving on to the power driver, and guess what? No instructions for this part. But orientation matters. So after a while I found a dot on the PCB and a dot on the driver. Matching these should be the correct direction for soldering. Next, the microcontroller. Thankfully, the instructions include a note reminding me to match the dots. The only SMD parts left are two LEDs. The instructions are slightly vague again, but based on what I see at the picture, I'm pretty sure the green dot should face down. So install it this way. We'll soon find out if I got all right. The most interesting part, soldering the SMD components, is done. Now, let's move on to the easier part, THT, through-hole components. These include a socket and a capacitor on the main PCB. Since I don't see any use for the pin connector, I'll not install it, so just put it aside. Here's how the fully assembled PCB looks. Not bad. What do you think? Now for the final step, installing the ultrasonic transducers. All soldering part is done. It's time to put everything together. Again, while orientation of transducers matters, the instructions aren't very clear, so I'm following the pictures as best as I can. And now, the project is completed. Time to test it out. I'm using a 12-volt, 3-amp power supply. Plugging it in. And nothing burns. The LEDs light up, which is a good sign. Now let's try to levitate some objects. Everything works perfectly. It really makes small objects levitate, and it looks amazing. I'm really happy with the result. New interesting projects are on the way. Subscribe and stay tuned.